John, why are you scratching yourself so
I'm
much
just
over there?
itchy.
Oh.
And there's so many different kinds of itches out there.
There are, yeah.
Right now,
I thought an ad would start like this. Keep going.
I'm feeling the spring travel itch.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
done. I see what
I
happened.
need to get some new threads for my adventures.
Yeah, you do. You need some luxe upgrades from Quince. High quality travel essentials. Guess what? At a fair price, John.
Okay, I'm intrigued, Dave. So how does Quince do it? You know what I mean? Like, how do they keep prices 50 to 80% below similar brands?
This is an easy one, John. They partner directly with top factories and cut out the cost of the middleman.
Well, and Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel.
You didn't know much about them, and suddenly you know a lot about them. That's amazing.
I'm
I have
you didn't
sweatpants, Henleys, cardigans, all from Quince, and they're a perfect fit.
They do look great on you, right?
Thank you.
You're wearing all three.
All right.
For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince.
That's right.
Go to quince.com/Dadville for 365-day returns. You heard me. Mm-hmm. You thought you heard me wrong,
That's
but you heard me
an
right.
Entire year.
If our calculations are correct, 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order.
That's QUINCE.com/Dadville to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Dadville. Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with Tauren Wells.
Yo, it brings me so much joy to see you guys on my screen right now. I knew I was doing this, but you know how you don't really know until you know?
I mean, that goes for everything I've ever done.
I was going to say, that resonates on a lot of levels for me, honestly.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Man, we're great. It's Friday. We've
already phoned in the morning and we're just cruising out the afternoon.
Phoned in the morning. Yes, come on.
The room that you're in looks very nice.
I was going to say, it looks amazing.
Like the crown molding and all that looks very nice. Did you build this room yourself?
I was going to say, we assume that you did that.
Not. I wish. If I built this myself, everything in here would be crooked. It would.
Which is a different aesthetic. I mean, honestly, let's not say that that's necessarily bad.
There's no right or wrong.
Annie and I, it's so funny seeing that, Tauren, because we did a room in our house where we did crown molding, and it's almost exactly that same color green. Like, it may actually be that same color green. And we're going to do, same as yours, it's that border and the whole thing, and then we were going to do wallpaper, but it's that classic thing of where we paint the whole room that color, knowing, quote unquote, we're going to put wallpaper in there. And I would bet just about all the money that I have in the bank that wallpaper is never going to happen.
Never happened.
Where you get to that thing.
I was over there months ago and we were picking wallpaper.
Yeah, it's been.
So the debate still lives.
Well, and it's just
open it up to the people, Dave. Put it up on socials.
Okay. We'll post it. We'll get the billions of followers just to comment, and just
billions.
Just with a B, with a hard B. And see, Tauren. So I feel like this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
It has been.
Bro.
We live in a weird sort of like axis where, we know a lot. We've met. Was it on the Dude Perfect?
It was on the Dude Perfect cruise, bro. Yes.
Get in there.
Dave keeps talking about this Dude Perfect cruise, which is
just over and
so
over.
Fun. The best cruises are the cruises that your friends went on that you didn't go on.
There you go.
That you get to hear about.
Those are the best cruises. That was a really fun cruise.
With friends you introduced, and they went on a cruise without you.
That's basically it. But then, so we have, obviously, not only do we know each other a little bit, but we know each other. There's an Indiana connection that's really strong that's in this triumvirate right now.
Do you know about this?
And do you know about this, Tauren?
I don't think so.
According to the internet,
yeah,
I'm from Indiana, and you went to school in Indiana.
Yes.
Is this true?
That is true. I went to school in Indianapolis.
Oh, it's in Indianapolis. Okay. I'm from just outside of Indianapolis, and my wife and I used to live in Indianapolis before we moved down here.
That's
to
the energy
Nashville.
that we feel. That's what everybody right now, the three
That's
of us,
what it
that
is.
pulsing, that's what it is. It's the Indiana
How did you
connection.
like Indianapolis?
I liked it.
No. Let's take that again. Back at one. How was Indianapolis for you, Tauren?
I like Carmel, Fishers,
Yep.
Broad Ripple.
Yep. Broad Ripple
the
and Carmel's where we
Center
lived.
Mall.
Yep.
Yes. So that, especially in the fall,
Yeah.
like Fishers, Indiana is magic.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I've got friends that pastor there. Just the colors, which I'm from Michigan, so I just love the leaves and all that. And I live in Texas. I've lived in Texas for 16, 17 years now. So basically one long season where trees are living and then trees are dead. So there's something
Which
about
feels like
the
a great
fall.
metaphor.
Yes.
I feel like you've preached that or written a song about that at some point.
I actually have. I have a song called Remain, and it's about seasons.
I knew it.
For sure. But yeah, so I enjoyed Indianapolis, loved the school. I went to Indiana Bible College. It's a little Pentecostal school there, and had a great time. Met my wife there.
Wait, so you were at IBC?
IBC, yes.
Yeah. So this is a trick I just did to you that John loves this trick.
Yeah.
It's a great trick. I'm telling you right now, T-Dub, if I can call you that, this trick never fails. I'm telling you 100 out of 100 times it
does work.
When you talk to someone about their college, which we just did, someone will say, and it could be any school. It can be, IBC, small school. It can be Arizona State, ASU. But I promise you, when they say their school, they go, oh, I went to Grambling University. Like, you went to GU? They're like, did you go? But when you say that, when you say the letters, it is an intimacy. A bridge is created that people think only people that went to those schools call it by the acronym.
Right.
It is universally true of human beings.
It is true. I will say it works. But then the betrayal that then that person feels when they find out that you've
It's
tricked
a risky
them.
play. It's a risky play. It's all
I was confused as to why you said IBC and not him.
Right.
Yeah, well,
So-
touche. That's the game. This is the game we play, Tauren. So, Tauren, tell us this. So you got. I mean, it feels like there's a million things to talk about, and so John and I were like, it'd be a great jumping off point. It's just like, tell us about your life right now. Like, what is going on with you these days? Just catch us up.
What does a day look like for Tauren Wells?
Well, I'm about to go to my
You turn into a preacher all of a sudden.
I'm about to go to one of my son's schools because he's the Bobcat of the month.
Oh,
So I'm going to go
much
celebrate
envied
that.
and coveted role.
Yes, the Bobcat
of the month. So
BOM.
does that mean
Yeah.
that he's then the Bobcat for the rest of the month?
I think he was the Bobcat all month.
He's been the Bobcat
and
all
was
month. Now
celebrating it
Yeah.
today at the end of the month.
Gotcha.
Yes. So proud of him. But that's kind of like, the moniker of this podcast, Dadville. That's where I'm at right now. Been married to Lorna for 14 years. We have 4 boys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do.
So 12, 9, 7, and 4. So everything in my life is somehow squeezed in between whatever is happening in their lives.
Yes. That's such a great way to say it, actually. Dave and I were voice texting yesterday about this season in our lives. And Dave and I have kids that are like similar ages to, I've got a 12-year-old and 9-year-old. And I was telling him, like, my wife and I we're in it right now. Like, we are when I was texting him yesterday, I was at our youngest soccer practice, which is on the west side. Amy is on the south side, picking up our oldest from theater, then taking her to soccer. It's like, we are in it. And the way you just said it, like, everything in my life exists in between everything that's required with our kids. That is exactly how.
And you have 4, so you got there's not a lot of wiggle room there.
You need 2 more parents involved.
We have them. they're paid, unfortunately.
Hey, oh my gosh, guys. Can the three of us start a podcast called Paid Parents?
Paid Parents.
That is the greatest name for a podcast.
I thought we were going to go with a company.
I'll do that. Let's buy the .com.
Yeah. We couldn't do it by ourselves. I mean, I know that people do, and we're so blessed to be able to have people we feel like God brought into our life specifically to help our family in this season, because I don't know, like, it just wouldn't be possible. Something would fall off.
Yeah.
It would probably be one of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lauren, but so I'm in the middle of that, which is amazing. Love it. And trying to find how in the world you stay healthy emotionally, physically, spiritually in the midst of all of that. And then we planted a church in Austin just over a year ago called Church of Whitestone. And it's amazing, but completely overwhelming.
Yeah.
And, still doing some music, just wrote a book. And I've tried to describe this to people, and this is a pretty kind of like churchy word, but I feel like in my life it's a season of fruition where things are just coming to the surface that have been cultivated for a long time. And it's the season with family, it's the church, it's music, books, podcasts, those types of things. And I think there's just a grace on it right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of being able to identify realistically, like, this is the season.
Yeah.
Like, the Friends episodes, the one where
right. Yeah.
So much clarity. Like, this is the one where my life is squeezed in between what's happening in my kids' life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just recognizing it and then living in that place.
Tauren, I have to pause and apologize because and John, I know you're judging me for it. I've forgotten one of the real tags of Dadville, which is we start with a brag sheet, and we just jumped into this wonderful conversation so quickly that I've jumped it, and that's on me. And
I did notice that.
You did.
I didn't want to call you out.
Well, you have a way that you judge with your eyes, and I felt it.
Sure.
And so I wanted to. So we call it the brag sheet. We're just going to pop this because we got to keep going. But you said podcast, and I was like, dang it, I need to mention this. So here we go. Facts about T-Dub.
You really don't need to.
No, don't listen. Your humility doesn't work here.
This is the least favorite part of every group.
Yeah, this is where we get to enjoy how awkward you feel. Okay, so Tauren Wells married his wife Lorna in 2011, which you said, started the Prisma Worship Art School, father of 4 kids, which you just talked about, nominated for 9 Grammys. That is a lot of Grammys. Won 5 GMA Dove Awards. This is one of my favorites, by the way, which we're going to have to talk about at some point. Tour with Lionel Richie and Mariah Carey, which, yes, please. And as to your point, and this is what reminded me, host 2 podcasts, not 1. John, we thought we were doing well. Nope.
No, sir.
No,
sir.
The High Note with Tauren Wells and Alive in Wells with Lorna Wells. That's good. That is really the Alive in Wells. That's, you guys win.
Like the pun, the little pun. We love a pun.
I mean, that is a lot of stuff. It's to your point, Tauren. It's like you are. I love the way you put that. Because I think in my darkest moments and seasons of life, there's nothing that helps me more than remembering that there are seasons. Because I think I can be so in the moment, and I'm like, this is never gonna end, or like you're like, this is it, man. I'm killing it. It's happening. Let's do it. Right. And the best wisdom that I ever get from friends or, mentors or whatever is just to remember that, like, man, good and bad stuff is seasonal. And I think, like, I love hearing you say that, because I think, especially for what you and I and John do, but I would add even with obviously pastoring, but especially with music, it's like if we're not careful, we can think like stuff is always going to work or is supposed to work. And, sometimes it doesn't. And I think if you don't sort of prepare yourself.
Or when it's not working, it's going to not work forever.
That's exactly right.
It is kind of crazy how that is a lesson that I just somehow cannot quite learn fully. You know what I mean? And every time I realize it, I'm like, oh yeah. We're not in whatever season forever.
Yeah.
It's just the same. Whenever I come, it's like a epiphany every time, embarrassingly so. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's because there's like I don't know, some type of force that pulls you in. Like even in success, I feel like success is so, obviously it's tricky, but it's so dangerous. It's like it gets you high and you're no longer connected to reality of like, this is the plane's landing at some point and we got to refuel and we got to fire this thing back up again. And then in the same with some of the most difficult moments when it feels like nothing is working, there is no traction. It's like, what's the point? And God is just so faithful to change the seasons to, and particularly, and this is for me, if I learn the lesson, I get to graduate to the next grade. But if I refuse to learn and it's just striving, it's like, all right, I hope you like that hamster wheel. You can just call that home. You're going to be running.
Why does it have to be like this?
Hilton brings you new ways to stay with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
So what is your relationship? Obviously, you've had such success that they've just laid out there about 10, 15 minutes later than I would have liked. But so what's your relationship with that success been like? Because it's, you can't be nominated for a Grammy 9 times over and not have to square up to the success.
Yeah.
I think holding it very loosely, and I think the hardest part is being nominated and not winning all those times, because it's just like an expectation. So then you have to decide, like, does this really matter? Am I climbing this mountain again? Is this what I'm really doing it for? How much does this mean to me? How integrous is the Grammy situation anyways? Like, does it have the way I like, do I care more than it's worth?
Right.
So that's like the real human side of me. And then if I can like get my faith muscle working, it's more like the joy is in the process. The joy is in the people that you get to be connected to. Someone that you run into on a Dude Perfect cruise whose song is playing in your wedding video. You're brought together because of, this music thing. Is that the real win?
Yeah.
Instead of walking across a stage, like, if people are the ultimate treasure. So it's trying to constantly reconcile that and to honestly hold it loosely, because I feel like success is the greatest trap that will keep us out of our actual purpose. And then the pursuit of extending the life cycle of a success can actually rob us of the fulfillment that we have up ahead.
Good gracious, man.
Because we're so stuck trying to make something work, not realizing God has worked something already for us in the future if we'd be willing to get off the treadmill.
Man, I want to say 2 things. First of all, that is amen. Send me the Venmo, I'll send the tithe. That was so unbelievably well.
Hey, I'm a church planner.
I know.
Don't
Listen, I know, man. I'm the son of a pastor.
He's got the QR
I know that
code
life.
ready to go, man.
I know that life. I've started a church as a kid. I didn't start the church as a kid. I felt like I started the church as a kid.
You did. If you were a part of the family that started it, you started
that's
it.
right. God knows. I'm gonna get some kickback, I think, on the other side. But 2 things I was thinking is, one, I think the thing that is so tricky, especially about success, is we love to own our failures and obsess about that, but man, we love to own our success. And I think it is really dangerous. And you said that so well, and I've never really heard it said that way, but like how much it can distract you from where you're actually trying to go, because it's so easy to take on successes where you're trying to go. And I think what happens for a lot of us is we have this really clear aim, and then it works. And you're like, well, I should actually maybe just go with what's working. Maybe it's not my vision, but man, feeling this way feels great, or money feels great, or fame, or, people acknowledging my talent. And then you can sort of see where the North Star starts to shift a little bit. And if there's one thing you can never, ever control, it's success. And so then you just, to your point about the hamster wheel. So the other thing that this book, I'm so excited that you have put this out, because first of all, the name of it is just incredible. I mean, Joy Bomb is that is just well done. Well done. But you kind of speak to this, and I wanted to hear you sort of talk about this, but this idea that you were never created to be great, but knowing what true greatness has changed everything, because it's a little bit of this success piece too, and so will you talk about that, because I think this is a really fascinating point.
Yeah, so the book is based on what I believe to be the most important teaching on joy ever, which a lot of people could point to a lot of different people to say this is the most important teaching in human history. But I fact-checked it. I went on ChatGPT.
And they know.
And I asked who taught the most important message on joy ever. And ChatGPT said Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Now, it is inaccurate, 15 to 20% of the time. But in this case, I think it got it right. I think Jesus, even if you're not a believer, there's something very magnetic about what he taught on a hillside called Aramis. And one of the things that he taught was how I label it in the book. It's Joy Bomb. So each chapter is a code. So it's blessed are the intentionally humble. And that word blessed, the original language means happy, prosperous, flourishing. So happy are the meek, for they will inherit the earth, is what Jesus actually said. And so we have a lot of misconceptions around meek. I mean, probably people's closest association to the word meek is probably Meek Mill. And that's a rapper, if you don't know. So maybe even that association's too far from center. But meekness is a core quality of really a successful person. And I don't mean in monetary terms or by necessarily cultural status, but by someone who is inwardly great. And one of the things that I bring out in the book is I think the church in particular has mischaracterized greatness and demonized it. Like, we should not aspire to be great. Like, I have friends who grew up whose pastors and churches told them the only thing great is God. So don't call anything else great. And I just believe that God is actually invested in our greatness, that he wants us to be great. He wants you to be a great person, great in whatever your profession is, a great spouse, a great dad, a great whatever it is, because ultimately he gets glory from that. And I kind of bring it around in the book, like defining meekness as strength under control.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's a person who, I love what Kanye's mom told him. She said, a giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing.
Whoa.
It's just you're unaware of what makes you so great. And I think popular culture kind of does the opposite thing of the church. The church is constantly telling people don't be great. And I think pop culture is usually saying you better tell everyone how great you are or they will never know. One of my biggest pet peeves, I have a lot of friends in sports and I just tell them unapologetically, one of the things that just burns me up is an athlete getting on the press box after a game and just being like, I'm definitely the greatest boxer. I'm the greatest athlete. No one has seen. I mean, I don't know of anyone else who does this night after night, year after year. I mean, who is like me? I think there's a bravado culture that overstates our greatness. And the scripture says, don't praise yourself, let someone else praise you. And my whole thing, I'm trying to teach my boys this because all they want to do is like snag, footballs and flag football and straps. I'm him. They're doing these 3-point signs. They're doing the gritty.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing? I'm him. And I'm trying to get them to understand when you're actually great, people will tell you.
Wow. Jeez, what a point.
People will tell you. Won't be able to run from it. It'll be so obvious. And here's the thing. I believe that God puts the greatest gifts in the world on the bottom shelf because it's only the humble who can reach them.
Jeez, Louise.
And if we would be willing to get low, not in low self-esteem, not in low self-confidence, but actually knowing who God has created us to be and deciding, I don't need to tell everyone that, they'll tell me, then God can trust us with the things he wants to put in our lives.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Can I tell you one story?
Please.
I hate to dominate conversations, but here I am. I was in Nashville. You guys remember that spot in Nashville? It was really cool for a long time. Gosh. Maybe Cabana something? Coco Cabana?
Oh, wait. Was it just Cabana? Wasn't it?
Maybe Cabana. It's a coffee shop, but they serve breakfast at night.
Oh, I don't know.
No, that's a pizza place. Cabana's a pizza place.
Oh.
Okay, anyways. It was a coffee shop, before Nashville really exploded. This was like in 2008, probably 2009.
Fido?
No, I know Fido. But it was this little
He's cooler
spot.
than we
Anyways,
are, John. That
was a joke. Fido was a joke, of course.
We're going to be like, is it somewhere you took your young children? God, what would that have been?
No, it was back. I wish I could remember the name of it because you guys would definitely know.
Hold on. I know it. Shoot. Is it it's near downtown?
Yes.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking. Cafe Coco.
Cafe Coco. Yes.
I'm back, John. You're still out.
I've never heard of this.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
It's probably a barista parlor at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was a long time ago before like East Nashville came up and everything. So I was there 2008, 2009, and Johnny Lang was playing there. You guys remember Johnny?
Oh, yeah.
I love Johnny.
We love Johnny.
Absolute legend. Love Johnny. I discovered him as a kid. I mean, he was a kid when I discovered him. Prodigy, guitar player, amazing. Okay. So he was one of our heroes. I was in this band, and Leland, the band Leland at the time, brought us to Nashville to introduce us to the record label.
Oh, wow.
There was this thing called Gospel Music Association Week, and it was like all these agents and bands and labels and just really, really cool. We're green. We've never been to any type of thing like this. And we go to this concert. It was in this little spot. Israel Houghton, Tommy Sims, Johnny Lang, killing, bro. Johnny's up there. Lie to me.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So good.
Slaying the place.
Just following gravel and then singing like an
Exactly.
So he invites us to go grab something to eat after the show. So we're sitting in this little Cafe Coco in the back eating a breakfast dinner, and he's just had this recent conversion to Christianity. And so he's going through this whole metamorphosis, and he had heard a song that I wrote in Indianapolis at IBC, and it was just this choir song that the school recorded, and he was like, man, I love that song. It's just so honest. He said, you know what I think God wants to do is he wants to look for hearts he can trust. And the people that we're gonna see elevated in this next period of time aren't necessarily going to be the most talented, the greatest at their particular craft, but they're going to be hearts that God can trust with platform and with opportunity. And it was at such a pivotal moment for me as a young artist to hear that and wanting to have that kind of posture of like, God, can you trust me with this? Can you trust me with success? Can you trust me with platform? And it really changed even some of my pursuits of like not trying to pursue so many external things, but who am I becoming? Not just being good, not just doing good, but being good while we do it.
Yeah.
So that was a major moment that kind of contextualized success for me.
That's such a great, powerful moment that the overlap that comes to my mind right now, just because of the phase of life that I'm in, is my wife and I are talking a lot about our oldest, who's in middle school, and we're like, how can we convey to her the like slightly bigger picture? Like we're in the like, you can do this, you can't do that, we're establishing all these new rules now for this new phase of our life where she's in middle school. But we're like, it's more about like, who do you want to be in these moments? Like, what is important? If we can get that through to her, then she can, that sort of course corrects so many things. But it's so hard to do. It's so hard to have one of those moments where you can really convey, not just a great piece of advice for right now, but like a global sort of like, this can sort of dictate your whole trajectory of a career and who you want to be,
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the most important question, for sure.
Also, quick story. I'll throw in my Johnny Lang story. I love Johnny Lang. One of the first tours that I did was opening for Johnny Lang. And long story short, my band, I flew in, and my band was driving the van and trailer down to meet me, and they broke down in Atlanta. And so for like a couple nights of the tour, my band couldn't join up, so I had to like rent a piano and play the show solo. And Johnny was like right on the bus with us. They gave me a bunk. I didn't find out until the next morning that was Johnny's bunk.
No,
they didn't have they don't have an extra bunk. Johnny gave me his bunk, and he slept in the lounge.
Wow,
isn't that amazing?
That's crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds right, though. I mean, what a legend.
Right? Which, for those who've never been on a tour bus, the lounge is great. Yeah. I don't want to sleep in the lounge.
No.
You're not sleeping great in the lounge.
No.
I mean, that's a sacrifice to give up your bunk.
Yeah. Yes. As the headliner too,
Yeah.
It's like,
and
you
it's
need
that
to sleep.
It's that disposition of like someone who is meek to me, and Tauren, like you're saying, like, that word can maybe conjure up different images for different people, but I see it as a position of service. Like you're not here to, establish some sort of I am X or I am X out of some kind of insecurity. It's a security, and it's a point of service, which is it's easy to say. Meekness is something that I'm striving for in a conversation, and then in real life and day-to-day life, especially I think as men, it's tougher,
Absolutely.
Since y'all asked, I'll tell a quick Johnny Lang story. I want to say one.
It's like a writer's round, but it's just stories of Johnny Lang.
Johnny, shout out Johnny wherever you are.
Worth it.
I remember going into I was at MTSU at school, and I remember going to Blockbuster Music.
Middle Tennessee State University?
And
does it work the other way?
Did you go? Yeah. No, then I doubt you. You actually have the opposite effect.
You've never heard
you've never heard of it. You never heard of it.
I couldn't do that. I was like, M to what?
M to the what? To the what? But I remember hearing they had those listening stations that, would just be random music, like the newest releases. And I saw a picture of it, and I was like, what is this? And I put it on, and Lie to Me came on, and I bought it 30 seconds into the album. Mm-hmm. But fun story. So he was in Nashville. It was probably around that time, Tauren, recording with, I think it may have been Tommy, that record, or Drew, and I can't remember who it was. Anyway, but a mutual friend texted me or something, was like, hey, would you ever want to meet Johnny Lang? And I was like, bro, I will lick your face if I can meet Johnny Lang. So he's like, well, come hang. So go, and Johnny and I kick it. And it ends up like we get on really well because he's the nicest guy ever, right? So he's staying not actually far from our house with his family, and they're recording. So we just kind of kick it. He'd be like, what are you doing? Pop over, and he'd come over, and we kind of mess a little bit with songs. One of the most random moments of my career, though, it's coming up on Tin Pan South, which is when all the rounds happen in Nashville. Just rounds are everywhere that week. And so I'd been invited on one, and it's like Johnny was in town. I was like, dude, would you want to sit in on this round? And he was like, bro, I don't know, man. Like because he's, this was a really interesting thing for me to learn about guys like him, but he's used to like plugged in big crowds. He is not used to acoustic and intimate. So he told me, he's like, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm like, bro, I promise you can do this. He's like, all right, I'm going to trust you. And listen to how random this round was. Okay, buckle up. Me, Johnny, Derek Webb, and Charlie Peacock.
Okay, let's go.
It was to this day, and I've done 800 billion rounds. It is probably the most random. But it was so cute because I'd just be like, hey, do this. He'd be like, all right. And he would sing, and it was like the building would shake.
Yeah.
And, and meanwhile, he's so meek. Here it is. He's so sweet, and he's just kind of laughing at little jokes. And he'd be like, all right. And I was like, hey, dude, play Breaking Me. He was like, all right. And I mean, I'm just over there like, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. That's the end of the story. So the next question I want to ask you. So why is joy, like when you write this book, when you're thinking about joy, what is it that is so compelling about this that you want to write a book about it?
I think what immediately struck me was, and I want to respect everybody. I really do. There are so many thoughts and ideas about joy. And I was really like thinking, what is the most important message on joy? And I started thinking about Jesus, obviously, the dude that split history in two.
Who made history and then split it in two.
Yes, just unreal. And the first word he says in a sermon somebody writes down is blessed. I just couldn't get past that. Like, how important must that word have been if it's the first word God chose to speak in his first sermon? Now, he said other things, even recorded things, but this was the first sermon that was recorded. And so it just made me think, how important to the heart of God must the blessed life be if it's the first thing Jesus chooses to talk about? And so we know famous last words. What about famous first words? Shouldn't we pay as much attention to the primacy of what is spoken? And so I looked at that word blessed. I saw that it meant happy. And I just could not get past, of all the things Jesus would talk about eventually, the first thing he talked about was happiness. Mm-hmm. And it's because he was restoring God's original intention for humanity. I kind of nerded out in the book a little bit, and so forgive me, I'll do it here too. But the last word of the Old Testament is curse.
Wow.
The last word of the Old Testament is cursed. The first word Jesus says in the first sermon somebody wrote down is blessed. He's turning the whole narrative of human history back to God's original intention. The first place that we see the word blessed is in Genesis. God's first interaction with humanity was not judgment. It was not condemnation. It wasn't correction. It wasn't conviction. The very first interaction God ever had with humans, Genesis says, and God blessed them and told them to be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it. So God's original heart toward humanity is blessing, flourishing, happiness, joy. But the location of joy, where joy actually is, and how to get to it has been greatly misconstrued both by Christian culture and by mainstream culture. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of wanted to take a swing at, if we were to look at how Jesus showed us how to get to joy and where Jesus showed us joy was, how would we get there? And to me, it's completely upside down. It's strength that's for service, not for status, meekness. It's finding comfort and happiness in your sadness. Like, contrary to a lot of Christian ideas of faith it till you make it or faith over feelings, Jesus is saying you have permission to feel because his grace is so good that it actually works even better in the depths of our sorrow than it does in the heights of our successes. So it's just a whole flip to everything. And so I couldn't get away from it. And I wrestled over, if I should write a book and all of that stuff. And I couldn't get away
from it. Isn't it so interesting? Joy is such an interesting word because I think and you even see this in the Inside Out movies in a little bit. It's sort of seen as this aloof happiness. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like you're either dumb enough to really be happy because you kind of can't read the room, or it's an inability to be sad, so you over happy. And I think, it's funny. I was walking through this season a few months ago and really struggling with some stuff, and I was on this run. I'm like really fit and into muscles and weights and stuff. And not that I have to say that. That's super obvious. But
see, you don't have to say it.
No, there it is. It's on the lowest shelf, but I'm standing up. I got to lay down. And something that God, I just thought this so clearly, and this is very particular to my personality, but as I was struggling through this stuff, I just felt like, and I don't know if it was the Lord, I like to think it was the Lord, but I just had this thought that was like, what is the thing that gets you out of the game? Like, what is the way that the devil would get you out of the game? And it was clear as a bell. I thought he would steal my joy. It would be that, because that is something that's very particular to my personality. Like, I'm a pretty big personality, fun, happy guy. And it was so empowering to me, that thought, because I think I thought about it the rest of the day, and I was just like, that's it. It's when he's taken my ability to be joyful, because that's something that I feel a lot. Like, I have a lot of that in me. And it was a paradigm shift for me too, because it kind of made me realize the potency of that thing. That it's not just an aloof happiness, or the guy that everybody kind of goes, we love him, but then we kind of roll our eyes. It's a force. Right. It's a force in the world. It's a light and dark place. And I think for me, that was a huge moment in my life to go like, no, that is a gift that I have. And I need to lean into that. And that's what fights these other things. And so to your point, when you think about blessed, when you think about these Beatitudes, you really do get a peek into God's like, no, guys, this isn't a potent or an impotent thing. It's a very potent thing.
Correct.
That I'm telling you that you get when things are the way I want them to be, which is really crazy to think about,
Yes. Yes. And when you're looking for it in the right place, not even looking for joy in your charisma or looking for joy in your personality or looking for joy in your latest accomplishment or your last glass of wine. Like, this joy is deeper than all of that. And to your point, Dave, like, the joy of the Lord is our strength.
Yeah.
So it's not just a feeling, it is a force. Yeah. And I believe that whenever the enemy tries to attack our strength, he pursues our joy.
Wow.
Which is why we have to make sure our joy is in Christ. Because if it's not in Christ, then it's exposed. And if it's exposed, it's easily picked off. If it's connected to, for me, did this song chart? Am I being invited places? Do my kids respect me? Like, if it's in these external things, then that thing is going to get destroyed.
Right.
But if it's really hidden in Christ, it's protected, because then the enemy has to go through Jesus to get to my joy. not through my career or through whatever. Those things are easy to get through. So the whole concept of the book is, how do I get my joy in Christ, and realizing that Jesus is joy. Like he is the joy, that these Beatitudes are not just describing the characteristics of a person who's going to church and listening to worship music. It's so far beyond that. He's describing himself. He's saying, I'm the God. I didn't start from the bottom, started from the top, and I got low. I emptied myself of all of that godness just to interact with humanity. I crowned myself with meekness. I was persecuted. I took the irreputable words of the world on my shoulders so that you can live with a clean reputation in heaven.
Yeah.
Like, this is the ultimate servant leader,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So trying to get people to see Jesus, not just see concepts, is really the hope of the book.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And there was another piece that I thought was so great in there too that I wanted to hear you speak to. God never wastes a wound, that idea. Can you speak to that?
Yes. Yeah. That's something I heard Rick Warren say years ago, just an OG pastor. But
I love that phrase, OG pastor. He's holding it down, man.
He is, man. What a paradox OG pastor. It's just this idea that, so there's a verse that says that God captures all of our tears. Okay, I'll be totally transparent. So last night we were praying with our 7-year-old son, and he's amazing, and he has a call on his life. And I think sometimes it intensifies the things that our kids experience, because I know people like don't necessarily, we're not super aware of this, but we have a real enemy that wants to sabotage everything beautiful in our lives. And we've seen that he has night terrors and struggles with some fear things, and has like a slight speech impediment, and just several little things that we're not going to explain away practically before we investigate spiritually. And I think a lot of times we do that. We're like, okay, well, this is happening. Well, this is the neurological reason, and blah, 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 and X, Y, Z. And I think there's a whole lot more spiritual stuff happening than sometimes we realize. And so we were just praying with him, and he was just in tears, not sad. He said, Lorna asked him, how are you feeling right now, bud? He said, enjoyable.
Oh, my God.
Enjoyable.
Like, enjoyable. He was like, so you just feel good? Yeah, I feel good. But he was crying. And he said, Dad, remember how you said that God, he takes all of our tears and he just holds them in a jar, and like he sees every tear? And I was like, yeah, but he was like, I just feel like God is seeing all of my tears right now.
Gosh. That's so sweet.
And it's so sweet, so sincere, bro. Just no pose, no pretend. And obviously, me and his mom were puddled at that
He's
point.
like, look, he's got Jaws tears too, Dad.
That's too many tears, so Dad. Many? That's enough.
Because of you, son. There's jars and jars. Yes, you and your brothers. But that whole idea, like, he never wastes a tear, he never wastes a wound. He sees them all. And I think that so many times we think our comfort is paved with laughter, and more often it's paved with tears. Like the road through grief, the road to healing is actually taken on the vehicle of mourning. And that's something, let me just say this real quick. a lot of us have come to believe that we don't have permission to be sad or to be depressed or to feel what we feel. And God has actually given us the gift of mourning to deliver us from the grip of grief. Mm-hmm. That literally allowing ourselves to say, I was wounded. I was hurt. That did hurt me. I am affected. Instead of trying to posture, nothing affects me. I can't be hurt. If we would allow ourselves to feel those things, we would allow God to heal us from those things. He never wastes a wound.
God, that's good. That's really good.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/Spotify.
I have so many thoughts from that story. I mean, first and foremost, like, it's just so sweet as a parent, these moments that you have with your children where they are completely uninhibited, you know, like you can see them and you just try to prolong it as long as possible to keep them expressing their feelings without any kind of self-consciousness or filter or anything like that. I mean, that it's such a goal of mine to prolong that. And like you're saying, I mean, with my oldest specifically, one of the moments that, like, on my deathbed, I will remember this moment a couple years ago, and it was during a really hard time. She was really sad. It was not at all the moment that I would have thought would be like, oh, one of my highlight moments as a dad thus far will happen in this scenario. You would expect like, oh, yeah, we'll be at, you know, a Magic Kingdom or something like that. That's where it happened. Right. But it's like in these sad moments. And also when you're talking about, you know, mourning is a gift that helps us be delivered from grief. This is kind of a random thought, but I was just thinking, like, man, words are so powerful. We can so often, and again, I can only speak as a guy because that's my experience, but as men, especially when it comes to emotions and stuff like that, we are just not given the license, it seems, to really explore that. But I mean, just the gift of those words, like mourning and grief. At a glance, you're like, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Those are synonyms, right? But when you dial into it, you're like, no. Mourning, if you just kind of think about the concept of mourning, that's like a function. You know, that is a season
that's
in and
great.
Of itself that can deliver you from this other thing.
Yeah.
That again, unexamined, you think, no, these are all the same things. It's just sadness. Mm-hmm. And there's a real like usefulness to really like kind of getting into almost the semantics of it a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Know? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really well said.
That's why it's worth taking the time to have these thoughts and to get still enough to allow ourselves to go there. Mm-hmm. And I know, you know, all of us, everybody listening, we're all so busy. We've got so much happening. But there's such a deeper level of existence that is accessible if we would take the time, if we used a fraction of the energy we use to pursue external things, to pursue internal treasure, our lives would be 50% happier, 100% happier. And that's kind of the hope of this, is just, obviously I don't have all the answers in this book. I'm trying to figure it out. But if it could do what you were just talking about, John, just some deeper examination of these concepts of what Jesus was talking about, it's a treasure trove for the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and isn't it funny too that it feels like, I mean, being a joyful person, one thing I don't actually enjoy is sadness. And that's a real shocker to really everybody, I'm sure. But I remember sitting with my counselor, and we were kind of talking about the season I was going through, and he was like, man, you just got to be sad. And I was like, okay, let's. So that's
new counselor.
What would be a second thought too? So I love that one. Let's just talk about it. And to your point, Tauren, like he was just like, you just really got to experience. Like the only way to get through it is through it. There's no around. And so I would do these really ridiculous things where I'd sit in this chair back here when I felt sad and just be sad. And the irony is, because I think a lot of people would think, well, isn't that can joy and mourning exist together? And I think that's where it's just God math, that he's like, absolutely. Yeah. Like you actually don't get sort of one without the other in some ways. And I think I had to learn that in that way, is like, because I was like, well, I'd rather just stay happy. And it's like, well, that's not real happiness though. Like that's this faux thing. Whereas, grieving those things and being able to feel them actually really was a deliverance. Like you said so well, both of y'all said so well, John and Tauren before that. But it's like, I did say Tauren before that just to really set the,
okay,
just to really make sure we know.
If you had to rank them though,
first.
what was
if we had to gather the blocks first? But I'm convinced, sidebar, that if you, I'm going to get giggly here, forgive me. I really think if you went through Dadville and listen to all of our episodes, that 90% of my comments would be what I was just joking about with John, where it's like someone has just said that and I just kind of say it again in Dave language. It'd be like 90% of the podcast.
Well,
it's good.
Hey,
how y'all say it is so good.
So I got nauseate myself. So listen, we are so appreciative of your time. We know you got 900 children that you're running around.
We would like to keep
with
going.
your paid parents.
We could do another hour and a half just on Johnny Lang.
I know.
Seriously.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't even get into like the other songs, the newer. Turnaround album.
That whole record.
Oh,
so good.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we do, to end these, we do speed rounds. And so buckle up. These are hard-hitting questions to them, okay?
Yeah.
But John and I, listen, I'm going to warn you about these first two because this is absolutely selfish questions from John and I because we enjoy these questions so much. What is your... I'm actually going to flip it so I get to ask the question I want to ask.
You knew I was going to...
What is your worst on-stage moment?
These are always these are my favorite things about... This is why music exists.
Probably I mean, I've had a lot of bad like performance moments, of course, but the one that stands out is I was in my band at the time actually, and we were playing like a big state fair, and it was one of the first kind of big looks that
I already
had.
like this because you said state fair.
I'm
already so
most of them happen at state fairs.
You can smell like the
churros,
the grease soaks. Yes, churros. So I'm out there dancing. I'm just doing my thug thizzle.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
Like, I'm a Christian artist, but I got hips. You know what I'm saying? So I'm out there, and a lady just holds up a little sign, and I get pumped. I'm like, someone has a sign. Someone brought a sign. And the sign says, your pants need zipped. Oh. And I look down, and my fly is... It was skinny jeans season, speaking of seasons.
Doesn't help.
No.
And so I had to, like, dance in a circle.
And kind of get...
and then do a quick zip, and then back around, and I was back in my thugging.
What's so funny about that is to think about the logistics, like on her end. You know what I mean? Like she had another sign like, okay, somehow. How did she even have this piece of paper?
We need to get paper, and right now, guys, it's just going to get
She ran to Michael's real quick, but somehow made it back to the front.
Back in time.
It was just an 8x11 sheet of paper, but, you know,
Just slowly, like.
She's like, I'm so sorry, but no one else is going to say it.
I was at least grateful. I was grateful.
Yes, for sure.
That she helped a brother out.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is your best on stage moment.
Okay, since you mentioned the Lionel Richie, Mariah Carey thing, which was a huge moment for me in my little career, I was singing. So the label, Christian music label, obviously Lionel Richie, Mariah Carey, they're like, so what are you going to do? Like for the shows? Because I'm singing God's Not Done With You, When We Pray, Hills and Valleys, these very Christian songs from a language standpoint. They're like, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm definitely going to cover September.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do me.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to do me. So I went out there and I just did my songs, actually remade September. I put it on my album. My debut solo record has a version of September on it because I went on this tour trying to bridge the gap. But I sang a song called God's Not Done With You. And I just set it up like, no matter what you've walked through in your life, there's more for you, whatever. And while I was singing that song, there was a family on the front row in tears. Okay, now they came to dance all night long, dance on the ceiling, and touch my body. But I saw them weeping down there. After the show, we got connected, and the lady was like, I thought I came here tonight for Mariah Carey and Lionel Richie, but God sent me here for you to hear what you said. She said, I've been through so much in my life, and I just was reminded tonight that God wasn't done with my story.
Jeez Louise.
And that was probably one of the most like immediate gratification
no doubt
type moments.
Do you think somebody ever grabbed Lionel after a show and was like, I came here for Mariah, but I was reminded that I just needed to dance on the ceiling? And he's like, that's exactly right. That is exactly. If I've heard that once, I've heard it once.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Whose band would you love to be in if you could pick? You were in Royal Taylor, but if there was a band where they're like, look, we got a vacancy. And
any band.
If I could replace Ryan Tedder for one show.
One Republic.
That's a great call.
100%.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to tell you what.
It would actually sound amazing, too.
Yeah.
I think you would
crush that.
Yeah.
So my kids, I know, John and I laugh about this a lot, but I know with 4, you deal with this too, but like my kids love music and they're just little Nazis with my phone about music. They always they want to put on what they, and Ryan is a pretty good friend of mine, and I texted me that I was like, bro, if you see your numbers jumping, it is because of the Barnes family in Nashville. And I'm gonna tell you what and this needs to go. They still got it, man. Like, because a lot of these bands, they get 10th record, and you're kind of like, I don't know. Let's see. It's so good still. It's so poppy and so hooky.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable.
Yes, and it continues to be musical.
Yes.
Is what is so dope to me. Like it is which I like pop music, but I like flavor and style and all of that. And it's just
it's annoying.
They wow me every time. One of my favorite shows.
Oh yeah, amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so you are a pastor and a musician, a singer. So, which were you more nervous? Your first time getting up and speaking, or your first time getting up and singing?
Definitely speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Not even a question. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
When was the first time?
The first time that I spoke a little, I did a little sermonette at a huge youth conference thing. I was probably 12.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I preached on God is looking for true worshipers. So, of course, I was telling everyone they weren't true worshipers.
Let's go that route. Was that early in the week or toward the end?
Yeah, I was going to say, that opened the whole weekend. I'm like, I don't know about this, man.
Yeah, right. So, but I remember having my little gold watch because IBC, I know you guys are real familiar with it.
Fighting Martin Luther's.
very old school, like Pentecostal. So I was 12, like in a full
doing it.
Oh my god,
doing it.
Gold watch, just out there preaching, boy. But I was scared to death.
Yes,
scared to
I
death.
love you were 12. Talking about
with the watch.
True worshipers.
Bro, true
The
worship.
only reason you got away with that is you were cute. Everybody's like, I mean,
Yeah,
we can't be mad at this.
I could really see over the pulpit. I'm like, hey guys,
Little eyes. Just
Yes,
your little
bro.
judgy eyes. Just like looking at me.
my first solo, I had to like hop up to get the mic off of the mic stand.
gosh.
I was 9 years old.
Oh
So
my
cute.
gosh, that's the cutest thing I've heard in my life. All right, final question. If you wrote a book on being a dad, what would it be called?
Joy Bomb, available
Hey yo!
link is in the show notes.
now. Yeah, actually, I really do want to do a kids Joy Bomb.
Yeah.
Just because our kids are feeling just as much, if not more, than we are.
Yeah,
And I think instilling these principles at a young age would be so beautiful, and showing them who Jesus is through the lens of the Beatitudes, through his very own words, I think would be so dope. So the boys actually, they helped me with the cover of the book. I've got my oldest son helping me with marketing because I don't know what I'm doing with reels and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
And so, yeah, it would be Joy Bomb, though. I think it's a really important life message.
But it's definitely better than Dad Bomb. So,
I don't wanna
just a
read that.
thought there. Dude, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, anything? So you got the book. You doing shows, album coming out? Anything else people need to know about?
I have an EP that just came out. It's called Let the Church Sing, which I'm very excited about. Got to write one of the songs on there is called Not Guilty. I got to write it with my wife, Lorna.
Oh, that's cool.
great.
It's our first song that we've kind of been able to put out. But yeah, excited about that. And
Podcast.
you can just go check out the podcast, The High Note. I just had Chrissy Metz on, just had Carl Lentz on.
wow.
Just some really good conversations. I know with you guys and the kids, like I've got a great conversation with Steph Curry on there, Derek Carr, just some good combo. So jump on that. But yeah,
That's great.
I'm just grateful to be on
Don't do
Dadville.
that.
You guys are both legends.
Don't
I
do
have
this.
been a fan of your music. My wife would flip out if she knew that I was on this call with you guys right now. John, I'm pretty sure, I'm 99.9% sure Lorna saw you in concert with her friends years ago and just loved it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm
That's so
grateful.
kind.
we have
man.
what we.
So-
That's really what we needed was just that last
Yeah.
minute. So I think
This
we're
whole
good
time
with
I'm like,
everything
we
from
got to
here.
get something
Question
we
is,
can work
are
with.
y'all on tour? Where can we see you
No,
guys?
don't do that. And that's what Joy's
No,
going to do. Is it's going
seriously.
to turn it on us, and we're not going to do it.
Are you coming to Austin?
I was just
son?
in Austin.
Yeah.
Really?
January, I think I was in Austin. Yeah.
I hate fans that are like, "When were you here? I didn't know."
You know what's so funny? I mean, Dave and I talk about this all the time. You cannot, it's impossible
Yeah.
to get anyone in this day and age to see your thing that you're doing.
I don't
But
understand it.
without fail, there's always, whenever I play Austin, I always see comments afterward
Yeah.
that's like, when are you
Yes.
coming to Austin?
I had it once the night of Hand on a Bible. But they're like, dude, when are you going to be there? I was like, I'm backstage.
I'm here.
I just finished the show. Like, what are you doing?
I tell you what, though,
Yeah, hard.
Austin was, I'm not joking, maybe my favorite show of that
we had
run. We
Really?
played at this
Where did you
old
play?
church. It was like
Yeah,
a really
that's right.
cool,
The,
like A-frame church.
O2 Center? Is that what it's called?
O2 Center,
Or is it-
yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
It was great. I loved
Yeah, it
it.
was great. We
Okay.
John and I both had a moment we were going to have you come up, and we both in our separate shows just kind of waited, and it was
Yeah.
it was hard, but
Bro,
we were
I'm
doing-
at the.
we were doing
I'm at
Dancing
the-
on the Ceiling too. It went into September, so
Wow.
it was quite the on acoustic. Which boy, let me tell you what really brings the house
Yeah.
down. It's just some Earth, Wind and Fire on the solo acoustic.
Yes.
You just have to tell the crowd. So this is the part. The drums like. So just imagine that.
So just keep
And
that
then the
going in your
bass,
head.
it's just whoa, but then this is what I'm gonna give you.
I'm in there next time, guys.
All right.
I'm bringing my tambourine.
Are you gonna be a
too.
national anytime soon?
Yes, I am actually. The week the book comes out, the week of May 20th.
Hey, holler at your boys, okay?
Holler at me, bro. Y'all are. I don't have your number. You guys are actually out there.
Hey, listen, we're going. Don't leave because I'm gonna stop this and people can't hear it because our phones, John and I's phones, would be just
615.
It's actually 911-279-4. All right, I'm gonna stop this and we're gonna swap info and that's it. People, we love y'all. Tito, get the book.
Hi, dear one. I'm Dr. Edie Wadsworth, your new favorite Christian life coach, and I want to invite you to the House of Joy podcast. If you're a woman over 40 or the daughter of one who wants to build a positive mindset, healthier habits, and thriving relationships, this is the show for you. We talk about personal growth, faith, resilience, and creating a life you're obsessed with. So if you're tired of feeling stuck and ready to step into more joy and purpose, come join us. Listen now wherever you get your podcast.
Are you hungry for guidance about mindset, relationships, health, finances, career decisions, and dealing with your past? I'm Trey Tucker, licensed therapist and speaker, and host of Rugged, a podcast where I help young men and women navigate life's challenges and find solutions to help them live lives of service and meaning. In this podcast, you'll learn mindset strategies to harness your thoughts and emotions in ways that help you achieve your goals. I bring a blend of straight talk and empathy, and I'm open to addressing any topic and treating it and the people connected to it with respect and curiosity. Come join us. We have a space for you. Search for Rugged with Trey Tucker wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to hit the follow button so new weekly episodes will be delivered straight to your personal podcast feed. My hope is that this podcast will leave you feeling encouraged and empowered to take charge of your life and close the gap between who you are and who you want to be.